Hi folks, this is Pete Lane. Welcome to Blind Abilities. Today, Jeff Thompson and I would like to introduce Ardis Bazyn. Ardis is a multi-talented individual.
I've written several books. One is a series, Building Blocks to Success. There's a lot of accessibility throughout it.
She is an author.
I'm currently writing a book about myself. I started when I lost my sight to help people realize the various secrets there are to coping with challenges and change.
Sharing her business acumen and her life experiences.
I speak to all sizes of audience. I think the smallest group I've spoken to is about 8, and I've spoken for groups as large as 1,500.
She's a motivational speaker talking about coping with challenges and change.
I do a lot of talking on entrepreneurship, what things people should think about before they consider entrepreneurship. Sometimes people hop into it and then aren't successful because they didn't really think of all the business aspects.
And entrepreneurship. Speaking from personal experience,
I was in the Randolph Shepherd program for 27 years. I had 6 different facilities.
And success.
While I was in Iowa, I had gone to college and gotten my BAs in public relations and speech communications, and I also got my master's degree in education.
Highly motivated.
I feel it's important to continue your classes, even if you're in a job, even if you have a career. Check out the college disability services before you sign up for college. Make sure that you go to the one that's going to help you the most.
And today, she shares her experiences with us.
I keep pretty active because I think it's important for blind people to show other blind people what they can do if they get out there and network with people.
Jeff had the pleasure of connecting with Ardis at the Sagebrush Convention for the Business Enterprise program in Las Vegas just a few months ago. So take a few short minutes, sit back and relax, and meet Ardis Bazyn.
Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson, and I'm talking to Ardis Bazyn, and she is a speaker, author, coach. She's here with us today at the Sagebrush Convention here in Las Vegas. How you doing, Ardis?
Fine. Nice to be talking to you.
Ardis, could you tell our listeners a little bit about the books you've written and the stuff you've been up to?
Sure, no problem. I've written several books. One is a series, Building Blocks to Success. The first one is, does the image of your church attract members? The second one is, does the image of your organization attract members? And the third one is, does the image of your business attract customers and motivate employees? Covering all the gamuts of each particular type of organization, everywhere from networking, well, like the business one, for example. It's everything from getting a database together, how to work with your community, how to do seminars and conferences, how to do a newsletter, PR, customer base, all the different aspects. Being open to all people. There's a lot of accessibility throughout it, like how to make sure you have an accessible newsletter, accessible website, accessible activities. Like if you have seminars, make sure you think about the people that might be coming and what the audience might need as far as accessibility goes. So all 3 of those books cover accessibility and involving everyone. A lot with the blindness perspective, but I also talk about other disability accessibility, like if you have a business, you want to make sure your aisles are wide enough for wheelchairs, make sure where you hold meetings, people don't have to climb steps, and that whole aspect, different disability-related access, that kind of thing. And then I have a 4th one, which is more of a fun book. It's my family favorite, and I actually started it by doing it for my daughters. They wanted to know about all the recipes we used growing up, and then talk about healthy tips and tricks, and also substitutions, that kind of thing. So I started that as just for them, but then I decided, well, I might as well just offer it to other people too. And then I'm currently writing a book about myself. I started when I lost my sight and go from there. And basically I'm writing that to help people to realize the various secrets there are to coping with challenges and change. Some people look at it as a tragedy, but I think there's positives too, because you can teach others how to change, how to do things differently, and how to just be active no matter what your disability.
And that's the book that you're working on now?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I speak to all sizes of audience. I think the smallest group I've spoken to is about 8, and I've spoken for groups as large as 1,500. My most requested speaking topic is secrets to coping with challenge and change, but a lot of them are on leadership, membership development for organizations, helping people to plan for a successful future, whether that's a career or just being successful in whatever the person does. I do a lot of talking on entrepreneurship, the value of entrepreneurship, how to get to be an entrepreneur, what things people should think about before they consider entrepreneurship. There's lots of different areas that people should think about. Sometimes people hop into it and then aren't successful because they didn't really think of all the business aspects before they jumped into it.
So without being a spoiler, what are some of the secrets that you have in that talk?
I ask people to think about their resources, if they have money tucked away that they can use for it, or if they know other people with money where they might be able to borrow some money to get started. Also, what other resources they might have. What is their background? What is their previous experience? Had they worked at a job where they could use those skills in building a business? For example, if they worked for a computer tech company, well, maybe they could go on their own and either teach technology or they could fix computers for people or work with people on iPhones, etc. Or perhaps they have a background in bookkeeping. They've worked for an accounting firm. Well, they might want to go on their own to have their own accounting firm. So a lot of the skills they can look at, okay, what do I have to offer that I could create into a business? There's also ready-made businesses. You want to sell Party Light, Mary Kay, work for a blindness company like selling JAWS, selling computer software access technology. You can look at those. Those are already built in, and you just have to know how to be able to network with a lot of people to be able to sell the products and all sort of train people under you to sell the products and services.
So you help them before they make the leap, decide if they want to take that step.
That's correct. That's correct. And a lot of retired people now want to have something to do once they retire. Let's say they work for a company 25, 30 years and they retire, but they're still young enough that they don't want to just sit down in a rocking chair. Mm-hmm. So then they might be open to doing some of the things that they had done in their prior business. Perhaps they do a lot of background checks and stuff for a company. They want to retire from that company, but they still wouldn't mind doing a little bit of that on the side. So I'd like to talk to younger people in transition and then also older people that, just want to consider what they could do later on in life.
Older transitioning people.
That's correct.
So what kind of businesses have you participated in throughout the years?
I was in the Randolph Shepherd program for 27 years. I had 6 different facilities. I had 2 cafeterias that I managed. One had up to 13 employees because it was the legislative building in Pierce, South Dakota, so it was a cafeteria for the Capitol. The other one I had 5 employees, Aerostata Center in Ames, Iowa, and there I had also about 20 vending machines in another building. And then I had 3 different snack bars. I had one in Pierce, South Dakota, one in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and one in Dubuque, Iowa. That one also had a vending route with it. And then my last facility in food service was for the Cedar Rapids Post Office in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. There I had 57 vending machines in 13 different buildings at the highest point. But I moved to California in 1999, and to stay in that field, I would have had to go through training all over again and start basically from scratch because the Randolph Shepherd program, each state agency has different rules. So you have to just go through the training again whenever you move from one state to another. And some states are more open to that and sometimes will cut down your training and other states aren't. So it kind of depends. But while I was in my last location in Iowa, I had gone to college and gotten my BAs in public relations and speech communications, and I also got my master's degree in education. I had decided that I would like to make money. I had been doing a lot of speaking and coaching, but it was more just helping, like churches and so forth, and so I wasn't charging fees. So I figured if I got my education, then I would have the qualifications to be able to actually charge a fee to speak and work with people. So.
We focus a lot on transition age students that are, going from high school to college to the workplace, and a lot of seniors who are, like you just mentioned, transitioning. What kind of tools for success did you use?
I always tell people that it's important to learn as much as you can. And I am a lifetime learner. In fact, just this last fall, I completed a 4-year program to receive an MBA certificate. I feel it's important to continue your classes, even if you're in a job, even if you have a career, because the more you learn, the more you can add to your knowledge base and the more able you are to transition to something else if you get bored with what you're doing or if you lose your job, etc. And I know I've talked to some transition groups for state agencies, and one of the keys I always tell people is be open to anything, because if you limit yourself, then something might come along and you might decide that that might be the career you want. People sometimes say, well, hey, I don't want to go into the Randall Shepherd program, or I don't want to go to college, or I don't want to go into technology. But you should be open and check out everything, because it might change your mind once you start college and take a few courses. Or if you decide to go to a technical school, you could start out, take a few courses, and then decide that that's not for you. So I think you need to just remain open and listen to people around you. Actually, it's a good idea to shadow somebody. If it's in a career that you think might be of interest, go to that business and follow them for a few days. And there's a lot of people that are in business and in companies that'd be more than happy to have you shadow them for a little while, because they want to make sure that any employee would have the right skills. And it's much better to do a shadow position or do an internship. And then you can decide, well, hey, I really like this, or I don't like that.
How about PC or Mac?
I like PC. I do use an iPhone. I bought an iPhone a few years ago, and I've been using it a little bit more, but I still don't like the touchscreen as well as I do the PC. Plus, I've noticed, people have iPads, but you can't put a thumb drive in them. I use a Braille Sense. In fact, I carry one with me at conferences, and I can take notes. And I like to use Braille, and I'm a big friend of thumb drives. I plug in thumb drives and pop it over to my PC, and then I can rewrite, revise, etc. faster on my PC than I can on my Braille Sense. I just really enjoy PC. Plus, it holds so much more. I like it for that reason. Some people use both, but
As an author, is there a certain software that you use to do your writing?
I use Word for the most part. Now, I do on my note taker, it's text for the most part, but then I transition over to Word. I usually copy it into Word because I'm more used to Word, and I can search for stuff and check out how many words there are and so forth better in Word than I can some of the other. I'm an Excel user. I use Excel for different databases. I don't use the other ones too much. I mean, I'll read PowerPoint, but when I speak, I don't use PowerPoint. I tend to like handouts better because I've found a lot of people misuse PowerPoint. They'll be reading everything off the PowerPoint. Well, that's not the point of PowerPoint. The point is to have some key points.
Ardis, what advice would you give to someone who's in high school looking forward to transitioning to college and the workplace?
I would suggest, as far as going to college, make sure you check out the college disability services before you sign up for college. If you have 3 or 4 colleges you're looking at, make sure that you go to the one that's going to help you the most. Some disability services are really good, and they'll help you to get your documents put in a format that you can read. They'll help you with testing, etc. And some disability services are not real good about. They don't want to be flexible in your schedule. If you're having to take afternoon and evening courses, for example, and you're working in the morning, you want to make sure that that college can accommodate you. And I did that when I went from community college for 2 years, and then I had to transition to a 4-year. And then when I was checking them out, I just wanted to make sure what courses they had in their different majors, because I found out one of the colleges I was heavily considering for a public relations course, they wanted me to take layout and design, they wanted me to take photography, those kind of things, which for a totally blind person is really ridiculous. And they say, oh, we can have somebody help you. Well, why would you want to bother taking a course that you aren't going to be able to use in the future? Whereas the other college I ended up going to, they gave me a list of courses, and I just had to take so many out of this particular list. So they were much more flexible. So it's real important to check that out when they look at a college. The other thing is decide how far away you want to be from your parents or your family, and think about all these things ahead of time before you say, well, hey, I like that college. It sounds really great. They're offering this. But, you really need to check it out. I actually wrote a document for students looking at going to college. It's called A Guide to a Successful College Experience. And anyone that would like to get a hold of that, they can contact me and I'd be glad to send it to them. It covers all the different things you should look at when you're looking to go to a college. It's especially written for blind students, but a lot of the stuff would work for any disabled student.
So, Ardis, how can someone find you on the web?
I have two websites. One is bazyncommunications.com, B-A-Z-Y-N, communications with an S.com, and then under my name, ardisbazyn.com. And on the Ardis Bazyn one, I have a blog, whereas the other one is more of a traditional website, and it has the majority of the links, and then my Ardis Bazyn one links to that site.
So right at the end here, you start talking about a blog. that's You seem really busy with a lot of writing. You must really enjoy it.
I don't blog as much as I should. I should do it, every week or two, and sometimes it's once every couple months. But I like to share tips and tricks for people of all ages. And I'm on several boards. I'm on American Businesswomen's Association. I'm active with Business Network International. B&I is for both men and women, whereas ABWA is more for just women, although they allow men to join. Plus, I'm real active in blindness organizations, American Council of the Blind, Randall Shepherd Vendors of America, Independent Visually Impaired Entrepreneurs, as well as the California Council of the Blind and the State Independent Living Council in California. So I keep pretty active because I think it's important for blind people to show other blind people what they can do if they get out there and network with people.
You're going to need more than a business card to put all that on. Well, Ardis, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day here at the convention and speaking to the listeners of Blind Abilities.
Thank you for having me.
This concludes our chat with Ardis Bazyn. Jeff and I would like to thank Ardis for chatting with us. Special thanks to Chi-Chow for his absolutely gorgeous music. And for all of you, thanks so much for listening and have a great day. For more podcasts with the blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. And be sure to check out our free app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store.